Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel today. I'm your host Sanj, and in this video I've got something very tasty for you. Okay, so this has been on my to-do list for about a month now, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to create automated AI generated viral TikToks. Okay, and the reason I've chosen TikTok as the platform is because if you have regular content, if you post consistently, it's not that hard to go viral on a platform like TikTok compared to something like YouTube or even Instagram, right? Instagram is much harder to go viral, especially if you're a new account just starting out. Okay, so what I've decided to do today is build an automation that could basically take, it will basically create the entire end-to-end process, right? It will actually generate ideas for the videos. It will create the prompts for the images. It will then take the images and turn them into videos, and it will actually generate the sound, and finally package this all together and render the final output. Okay, it's an entire hands-free turnkey solution. I think it's gonna blow your socks off. So let's just dive right in and build this puppy. Before I show you what the final output looks like for one of these TikTok videos and the entire automation, I just want to go through some quick requirements, okay? Just to kind of set the foundation of what's expected when you build an automation like this, okay? So for the faceless TikTok creator, these are the requirements, okay? The first thing you want to do is you want to find a viral niche on TikTok, okay? Now, this is important because if you're going to monetize this, it's going to cost you some money in terms of credits when you build out these images, these videos, and these sounds, okay? And when you render the final video, okay? So it's not expensive to get started. I mean, I think I topped up with something like $10, but you'll see as I build this and I show you that it does get expensive very quickly. Okay, if you're gonna post like say 3 or 5 a day, then you definitely want to make sure that it's something you can monetize. Okay, and I've gone for the elephants niche, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so that's the first step. Second step is you want to create an account on Fowl.ai. So Fowl basically is like an all-in-one. It does text to images, it does images to videos, it can render the video, it can produce a sound. It's literally doing everything for me in one place, which means that it's quicker for me to build, it's faster for me to build, and I only need one API key, and I only need to, credit one account, right? Whereas, if I was using a different type of platform, I'd have to top up all these accounts. For example, if I was using 11 Labs for the sound, I'd have to pay for 11 Labs, right? And then the third step is just have fun posting, because this is a lot of fun, okay? So let's head over to TikTok, and I just want to show you the reason I went ahead with elephants is because I love elephants. The content is really good. It's really viral. So this one here is just kind of an elephant rolling around. It's a 6-month-old elephant, and it has like almost 1 million views, 700,000 views, right? Let's see if we can find something else. So this one almost has 1 million views. Cute elephant playing around on some kind of ball, right? In a zoo or wherever it is, right? And this stuff is very easy to replace with AI. You can do this very, very easily, okay? This was pretty cute, right? Just baby elephant running around. This one has 2 million views, right? So it's crazy. And I know for a fact that women, particularly women, click on these kind of videos, right? I know this because my sister is obsessed with elephants, right? She's got elephant jewelry, elephant merchandise, anything that's on Instagram or TikTok that has elephant content, she will click on it. She will engage with it, okay? So I know for a fact that it's very lucrative. And so if we click inside of one of these, most of these aren't even monetized, right? So let's just click inside of this Funny Highway profile. Now, right out of the gate, I would actually, brand this. I'd create this as a brand instead of having something called Funny Highway, which doesn't really mean anything, right? They're probably posting a lot of different content, which they are, right? It's different animals. So the first thing I would do is brand it for elephants. The second thing I'll do is I would only post elephant content. I wouldn't post anything else, right? If you're selling to elephant lovers, just post elephant content. If you're selling to lovers of rabbits or horses or whatever your niche is going to be, right? Just focus on that audience because they're lucrative enough. And then the third thing that I would point out is they have no bio, right? You can easily monetize this. You can sell jewelry, you can sell t-shirts, you can sell mugs, you can sell affiliate products, you can sell digital courses, whatever you want, right? Literally, Amazon products, right? There you go, Amazon affiliate products, anything related to elephants, right? Which they've got millions of products on Amazon, right? You don't even need your own Shopify store or like e-commerce place. You can just do an affiliate link and get paid every time they click and buy from Amazon. So I hope you understand the opportunity that's presented in front of you. Now, before I show you the automation, let me show you what the actual final input looks like for the one that I created before I started recording this video. One quick FYI, this automation isn't using the highest quality, text to image or image to video models out there. Okay, so you can do an even better job than this if you were to upgrade to the best models and obviously pay a bit more. But I think you'll be damn impressed, because I certainly was. Yeah, not sure what this is. Hopefully it's something good for the elephants. But I think you agree that the detail, the color, it's really damn good. And I'll include a link to the Google Sheet so you can see this for yourself, right? But yeah, this is really quite amazing. I'm really, really impressed. So we pause this. There you get the picture. And this is like 55 seconds long, so you could actually put this on a short, you could put it on Instagram, you could put it on TikTok. Lots of places you can post this content and monetize it quite easily. Okay, so let's dive into the automation. I'll show you exactly how you can build this. So this automation is basically kind of split out into 5 parts. Okay, so there's the ideas agent, the prompt agent, the create images section, the create videos, create sounds, and then create the final video. Okay, so this is taking all the assets and then basically rendering the last video. Okay, so the reason you can see the pinned icon here is because it's just an easy way of you saving tokens, especially when you're using stuff like generative AI, right? If you're using text to image, image to video, etc., if you don't want to burn through your credits, then just pin the content, because then whenever you run the automation again, it's just going to use the content that's already been generated, right? As opposed to running this again and using your credits inside of OpenAI or something like this, which will use File AI, and I'll show you exactly how to set that up. Okay, so for the trigger, I've just used a schedule trigger, which is just a very simple node here that you can find, and just set this up to whatever schedule you want. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to add an OpenAI messenger model node, which is this one here. And if I go inside of here, you'll see what this is doing. So for this one, I'm using 4.1 mini because I want to use the next level up. And 4.1 mini seems to be quite affordable. It doesn't use as many tokens as you think it would. Okay. Then there's a user prompt in here. So what this is doing is this is going to create the idea for each of the videos. Okay. And I'll show you what the Google Sheet looks like, because it's going to put all those ideas onto the Google Sheet. Okay. So the prompt here is, you're an AI designed to generate one immersive viral elephant idea for TikTok. Okay. Now, when it comes to prompting, you want to be as specific as possible. So I've told it that I want it to be immersive, I want it to be viral, I want it to be an elephant idea, and it's definitely optimized for TikTok. Now you could put in there Instagram. It doesn't really matter, because for the most part, Instagram and TikTok, the dimensions, the kind of limitations are generally the same. They kind of just copy each other, right? So if you create it for TikTok, it's going to be optimized for Instagram more or less, right? Then your output must be formatted in a single line JSON object with the following fields, okay? And these are the fields. So I've got a field called title, one called story, and one called scene, right? And I'll show you what that looks like on the Google Sheet. So only return one idea at a time, because I want to create one scene at a time, right? Or just create one idea at a time, and then I'll generate later in the flow. I'll generate scenes off the one idea. Okay. The story must be realistic and grounded in actual elephant rescue. So I don't want like abstract things. I don't want like unicorns and people with wings and all that kind of stuff. I'm being very specific in what I want, right? I don't want elephants on my wings on my elephant and elephants flying around and doing non-elephant kind of things, right? It has to be very realistic. If that's what you're going for, okay. So I put in there avoid fantasy or fictional elements, because I don't want any of that. The title must be short and viral, include one relevant emoji, and include exactly 12 hashtags in this order. So first 3 relevant to the elephant idea, the next 4 all the time most popular hashtags, and the final 5 is just color trending hashtags. And the reason I've done that is because that's what I've seen other content creators do when they're creating their titles on TikTok. Okay. Then the last thing is the scene should briefly describe the physical environment where the story happens. So dusty savannah, golden light, ranger in uniform, treating injured elephant's foot, right? That's just an example that I've given it. You can put whatever example you want to put in there, okay? Make it vivid, emotional, and inspiring, but never fake. And then you just want to simplify the output, make sure that's toggled on, and you also want to output the content into JSON, because I am asking it to create some JSON fields, right? And you can see here that I've actually run it. And so the the three fields that is generated is title, story, and scene. You can see that it's generated that here. And this is all done by the AI, okay? So if I go into the Google Sheet, this is one I've created earlier, and this is the one that's gonna basically get populated with the content, and it's also gonna post the final videos once it's done. So I've only done it once. But you can see here that the title is everything that's been pulled off on this side. And the story is this, and then the scene is just to give it context, right? And these variables are gonna come in handy later when we create the images, when we create the video, and we create the sound, okay? So this is done, but generally, if I was to upload this, it will just be in there as review, okay? I'll show you that later in the flow. So that's done there, and then the next module you wanna do is you wanna add a Google Sheet. So let me just click inside of here. It's just a bit slow because I'm recording a video. And I've just called it Add Idea, okay? So this is basically mapping this TikTok video creator sheet that I just showed you, okay? And all I wanted to do, make sure you select the correct sheet. I'm gonna map it manually. And then all I've done is basically just drag where it says title and grab this, move it here. Where it says story, I've done the same for the story column. And where it says scene, I've done the same for the scene column, okay? This here is just a function that's native inside of n8n. And all it says, it'll basically create a row -1. So whenever you add a new row with content, it will just label this 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, okay? That's all that's doing. And for this is an append row operation, okay? That's what we need for this. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to update the status as review, okay? Or in production, in progress, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It just needs something in there so that the automation knows that if you've got, let's say, 10 ideas, it will pick up the next available idea that's set to review, okay? And then test a step and you'll see this output here. So just to show you what that node looks like, it's Google Sheets. Okay, and it's a pen, excuse me, it's a pen row in sheet. Okay, then the next thing you want to do is you want another OpenAI model. You can just clone this one. And this one is now going to use the content that we've created from the previous node to then create the image prompts, okay? Because this is a complete end-to-end automated solution. I don't want to be having to think about anything. I don't want to put in the content myself. I want OpenAI to do it for me, okay? So again, it's going to be a message model. It's a 4.1 mini. And like I said, you can duplicate the one above. And it's a user prompt, okay? And again, it's going to be simplified output, and the output content is JSON. But let's have a look inside of the prompt here, okay? So now you are a scene description AI trained to write gritty, hyper-realistic still image prompts. Again, context, guardrails, everything, parameters is very important, right? Your task is to generate a 10-scene sequence that captures intense moments from a real-world elephant rescue or cleaning operation. Again, you'd put in your context, you'd put in the niche that you're working with, okay? Then your writing must follow these strict style rules, okay? So I've given it some style rules here. Now you could put in whatever rules you want. There's no hard and fast rule when it comes to this. I just put in the types of scenes that I saw on TikTok, right? I saw, like rangers washing elephants. I saw dusty savanna, desert-like conditions. I saw, elephants making noises, groups of elephants, families, etc., etc. So I put that all into the description of what I want the output of my AI to do, okay? Then for the story, we're just taking the story field from the previous node, which is add idea, which is the Google Sheets node. And then for the scene, I've taken the scene, and that's just to give it some context, okay? You know it's white because it's green, it's mapped, and you can see it here on the output. And then for the output format, I've done it in this context, right? Because this is how I want to do it. If you want more scenes, like if you want 50 scenes or 100 scenes, it's entirely up to you. You can add more of these, right? Like kind of variables here, but it's entirely up to you. I've just done 1 to 10, right? And then your scene must align exactly with the provided story, and your scenes must align exactly with the provided story and scenes. So I've given it some context. I want the output to be like this. Okay, so within this context, rangers gently wash a mud from an injured elephant's skin in hot sun. And then the scene is dusty savanna clearing, golden sunlight focus ranger scrubbing the elephant side. So with the video that you saw, right, it's gonna basically create scenes, 5-second scenes, based around this context, around this narrative, okay? When you output it, it's going to look like this. So now you can see that it's created actual content for each of the scenes, right? So here's scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, all the way down to scene 10, okay? And so let's just get out this. And then what you want to do is, because if I just go back quickly, I'll show you something. So the scenes are kind of merged into one item, right? You can see that here. So it's like an object and you've got 10 scenes in there. So what we need to do, if we're going to create content around each of these scenes, so we need to create an image, we need to create, and then create an image, and then from image to video, and then we need to create sound for each of these scenes, right? But it's one object. As you can see, there's only one item. So what we need to do is we need a code node, right? That separates the scenes. And that's all this code does, okay? It's just gonna take the object and it's gonna separate it out. And you can see here, I've got a table of items up here. So each of the scenes is actually separated out into an array, effectively, which is just a table, okay? And that's what this code does here, okay? And I've put in some explainer text as well. This is just a code node. So everything else is the same. We are using JavaScript. And if I go into the node panel here, it's just the code. Okay, that's it there. Now I know this is mostly no code, but there are some instances where we do need a bit of code to basically tell it what we want it to do, right? So that's the first ideas agent and prompt agent sections of the automation done. Let's move over to create images and create videos, and we'll build that out next. As I mentioned at the start of this video, we're going to be using Fowl AI to create the images, the videos, the sound, and even render all the components, all the assets, put into one to create the final output. Okay, so the first node you want to use is going to be the HTTP request node, okay, which is a very popular node. It's one that I use quite regularly if you follow this channel. Let's just go inside of here to see what we need to do to generate the image. Okay, so the method is always going to be post, right? And the URL is this one here. Okay, and the model I'm using for this is Fluxional. Okay, so Fluxional is not the highest quality model, right? There is actually Flux Pro, which generates amazing images. In my opinion, I think Flux Pro is the best text to image creator that I've certainly used. Okay, it's incredible, but again, it's going to use a lot more tokens. It's going to burn through your credits. So you want to factor in quality with affordability. Okay, so for this, I just used Fluxional, but you saw the video, right? The output was amazing. And I think you're going to get amazing results as well. Okay. Then for the set headers, make sure that's toggled. Okay. We're going to use the fields below because we're going to specify that. Now the header is authorization. Pay close attention to the spelling of authorization. This is the Americanized spelling. Okay. And then for the value, this is going to be key, space, and then your API key. So I'll show you how to find that. If you head over to fowl.ai, just sign in. Okay, I did top up, I think, like $6 or $10 or something like that, which you are going to need to use. I think they give you like $1 testing or something, but it's not enough. It's not going to get you very far, okay? So just top it up with a few dollars, and you could do that with billing here, and just give it a test, okay? And to get your API key, you just want to head over to where it says API keys. And I've created one for make and one for edit end. You want to click on add key, give it a name, and then this is the code that you want to copy, okay? Just make sure you copy it first time because they're not going to let you go back in there and see it again. You're going to have to delete it and create a new one, which is also fine. It's not a big deal, right? And just paste that after where it says key plus space. I'm not going to show you the entire, I'm not going to go into expressions and open the window because this is my actually live API key. There's a lot more to it than this. So this is not going to help you if you just have the first part, okay? Then what you want to do is toggle send body because we need to send some information. We need to send some JSON to Fowl to basically tell it what we want it to do, okay? So the body content type is raw, and the content type is going to be application dash JSON, and just pay attention that it's actually lowercase, okay? And then for the prompt, let's just go inside of here, and we're going to basically use this code here, okay? So all this is saying is we want to create an image with this description, okay? Which is from the previous node here, separate the scenes. And you can see here on the right, it says dusty savanna, clearing, golden sunlight, focus ranger, carefully scrubbing the elephant side. And remember, this is just an image, okay? We're going to later use that image and go from text to video, which is going to make it more dynamic, okay? The image size is portrait 16 by 9, which is the portrait view that you see on TikTok and Instagram, okay? and I just call it generate image. I've added some batching in here because I've got 10 images. What I want to do is I want to space it out by 3 seconds, and that's just to make sure that they all get processed with enough time. Okay, it doesn't take that long. It just a few seconds, but this would matter if you had, say, 50 scenes or something like that, right? If you've got more volume. So this is an optional step, but I think it's a good idea, especially if you're paying for this process. You're paying for, images to be generated. I think it is a good idea because you don't waste your credits, right? So I've set it to just one item per batch, and I've given it a 3000 milliseconds, which is the equivalent to 3 seconds. Okay, and then you can see the output here. This is what it looks like in the table, and it's basically created one for each of the scenes. It's created an image, okay, for each of the scenes here, and then you know it's worked. So let's head over to the next module here. So like I said, it will take a few seconds. I think it roughly takes, I think it took about a minute to do the 11 scenes, something like that, maybe 40 seconds. I'm not exactly sure because it doesn't show you the time that it takes. I was just refreshing the file, just tell me, a kind of rough estimate of how long it took. Okay, so because of that, we need to add a wait node. So that's just go into the node panel here, just type in wait, and you're going to get this one here. Connect it up, and then basically click inside of here. Let's just wait for this to load. And I've put 1 second because I'm recording a video and I don't want to wait and create too long. But ideally what you want to do is change that to a minute, test the output, and then you'll see this on this side, okay? And then the next node that you want is the get image node. So again, this is another HTTP output. So now we've generated the image. We want to download, get the image, okay? So it's another HTTP request. This time it's going to be a get method because we want to get it right from the servers. And File AI actually tells you what the download URL is going to be, and it tells you here response URL. Okay, so it tells you that the request ID is this, and so it knows what the request ID is because it generates it, right? Then it knows the base URL, which is all this. Okay, and what it does is just basically adds the request ID onto the end. That's where your image is going to be. It's going to be on the servers. Okay, so all you need to do is just grab the response URL, paste it here where it says, or drop it here where it says URL. Okay, the headers is going to be the same, which is authorization key space and then your API key, and you can turn the body off because we don't need to do anything. All we need to do is, because this is saved onto file servers, we need authorization, right, before we can download it. Otherwise, anybody could download anybody's content, right? There's no gate. And it's worked because it's basically outputted everything here. You can see here, it's got the image, it's even got the URLs, okay? And that's it for create the images. Again, you can add a sticky note, make it look tidier. And then next thing you want to do is connect it up to an OpenAI module, which is this one here. And this one is now going to be an analyze image, okay? So open this one up, and if I go into here, it's going to be the analyze image, okay? Because now we have the image, we want to analyze it, okay? I want to create a video prompt. So if I go inside of here, I'll show you what that is. So now it's an analyze image operation. I've gone ahead with 4.0 latest because that's what we have access to. There's less models that you can select when you are analyzing images, right? So I've just gone ahead with the latest. And then this is the prompt here, okay? So you are prompt writing AI specialized in generating short cinematic third-person video descriptions for underwater elephant or wildlife rescue footage. Again, this is what I've seen on TikTok, right? I've just based it on my observations on TikTok. There's no hard and fast rule. Again, with your niche, whatever you're doing, just kind of build it into the prompt, okay? Your job is to review an input image and write one vivid, realistic sentence that captures a single frozen action moment during the cleaning or rescue task. Your writing should reflect the tone and structure of the field footage documentation used by wildlife rescue professionals, okay? And then use the following original prompt for context only. So this is coming from the separate scenes. It's a description, okay? So if I go back a few notes, you'll see the code node here, which is the separate scenes, and I've literally just dragged the description and I've pasted it here, and I'm just giving it some context, okay? So this is for tone and environment reference only. Do not copy or reuse it, okay? Very important. I don't want it to reuse this text. I want it to use it as a guide. Then the rules are, and this is just because I've seen videos that I want to replicate. So never use first person language or phrases like I or point of view. Keep sentences to under 300 characters. Focus on a single physical action per sentence. And so on and so forth, okay? Match the gritty real world tone and environmental detail exactly like this. Should feel like a freeze frame from a documentary. So again, this is the kind of style that I've gone for. I think there's a gap in the market for this, specifically with AI, okay? And this is what the output looks like once it's done. And then if you go down here, the image URL is just gonna be the image from Get Images. So just grab the URL field here and drop it here. You'll see it's worked because it's green. You wanna simplify the output. And then for the detail, you can add an option, which is detail, and you can just play around with this, right? So this is just high, return more detailed responses, consumes more tokens. So again, it's a trade-off between quality and cost. Low and auto. So auto will just let the AI model just decide. Once you run the output, you'll see it here. So these are the prompts that have now been created for the video, okay? And then for the next three, you can just copy and paste the 3 image modules. So the way to do that is just highlight these like this, right? You can just right click, copy and paste, or you can duplicate 3 nodes, okay? And then just attach it like this. And then so the first one is going to be generate. We just need to change a couple of things inside of here. So the prompt is going to be this, okay? Because now we are going to use Kling video, okay? And I'm using version 1.6, which is the more cost-effective, more affordable model, okay? It's not the best model, but it's somewhere in the middle, right? And there are a bunch of other models that you can use inside of File.ai. If you just go inside the dashboard, if you go to File, I think it's File.ai / models, you can see a bunch of models there and test them out. I mean, I've used Kling before on this channel and I've used it for other tasks, okay? So this is the URL that you need, right? So you can see here that we're gonna take we need an image to create a video, okay? And then the headers are exactly the same. The body is exactly the same, it's raw application JSON. And then this here is the prompt, okay? So the prompt is gonna be the content from the previous node, which is the create video prompt. And it's just drag and drop that here. The image URL is from get image. I don't know why this is red. Probably just need to run it again. It says here I need to unpin the create video prompt. I'm not gonna do that because I've already created an output. But if you're running this end to end, it'll just be green. And so for this one, it's just get image URL, and it's this one here. Just grab this field, paste it here. Everything else is just to do with the duration and the style of video. Okay, so duration is 5 seconds. You can make this longer if you want to. Just remember, the longer the video, the more tokens, credits it's going to consume, and it's going to take longer to produce the videos. Okay, aspect ratio is 9:16, which is the portrait. Negative prompt is bad quality, and then CFG scale. This is just kind of inputs on the type of videos that you want, right? You can play around with these. I'll leave that up to you. Okay, and then again, the batch, items of batch, and then the batch intervals, I've left that there. You can test that. I mean, it's not a mandatory step, but I just thought because I'm paying for it, I want to put that in there, okay? And then the output, you can see here, it's in queue because it will take longer. So the images with Flux takes a few seconds, right? Probably no more than like 30 seconds, right? And that's for all 10 images and scenes. The videos will take about 5 minutes. It's between 4 and 5 minutes that I've seen, okay, per video. But it does it concurrently, right? So File.ai will create all 10 scenes in my example. It will do it concurrently. So create all 10 scenes at the same time. So it's not going to take 5 minutes multiplied by 10. So it's not going to be 50 minutes, right? It's going to be 5 minutes. So just factor that in, which is why the status is in queue. It's still generating this, right? It's not going to be instant. You can see it's doing that for all the scenes here, okay? And then so what that means is that we need to wait for it, okay? So if I go inside of here, it's just another wait module. I set it to 1 minute because I was building it, but in reality, it's probably going to be about 5 minutes, okay? So just wait for that and just change this to minutes. Very important. Otherwise, you're going to try and download a video that doesn't exist because it's still processing. Okay, and then the last mode is going to be the HTTP request node again. This time it's a get method, right? And then again, it's just a response URL, right? So from wait for video, just grab the response URL. You could get it from the generate video as well. It doesn't really matter. Either will do. Grab it here. You'll see it's green. This has worked. And then for the send headers, it's exactly the same, and then body's turned off because we don't need it. We just downloaded the video, okay? And then you know it's worked because there's an output here. You can see in the table, it's got the URL of the video, it's got the output name, and it's got the file size as well, okay? And that's it for create images and create videos, okay? So the last part of this video before I wrap it up is we're gonna create the sounds for the videos, and then we're gonna create the final video. So we're gonna get all these assets. So we've basically created images, we've created videos, we've created sounds, and we're gonna take these three assets and we're basically gonna render it into the final video that I showed you at the start of this one. Okay, so let me dive right into that next. So the next section of the workflow is going to be the create sounds workflow, and the first module is going to be a message model. So just find OpenAI here and click on message model, which is this one here. Okay, and then if I just go inside of here, I'll show you exactly what we're going to do. So the language model is 4.1 mini, and you want to simplify the output, but you don't want JSON, to make sure that's turned off if you are going to duplicate a previous node. Okay, and this is the user prompt. So let me just open this up and I'll show you what's in there. So basically, create a short video sound description for ElevenLabs that accurately reflects the provided environment. I've used ElevenLabs as a context, but I'm not actually using ElevenLabs for the sound. I'm going to use Fal.ai for that as well, okay? Because we can actually use text to sound to create that, okay? So keep it under 250 characters. That's because of the limit that you are allowed with the text prompt, including punctuation and spaces. Focus only on the sound elements that logically match the setting. No filter, no background context. Okay, so we've got three things here. So the scene, the image, and the video. Okay, so the scene comes from the ad idea, which is the Google Sheet, which, so if I scroll all the way down, it's just this column here. Okay, so dusty, savanna, clearing, golden, sunlight, etc., etc. So that's just drag and drop that. For the image, we're going to grab it from the get image node, which is this one here. So get image, and then it's just this prompt here, okay? We just grab this and place that there. And then for the video, we're just gonna get it from the create video AI prompt, which is this one here. So the context is a ranger presses a damp cloth against the elephant's dusty flank, and so on. It's just red because I need to unpin it, because I pinned it when I was testing it. But you can see the outputs worked here. So this has created the sound prompts. I've used the AI to create that, and you can see here that it's created the content for each of the 10 scenes, okay? Again, all automated with AI. And obviously just give it a name. Then the next three nodes, you can just duplicate these above, okay? So just right click, copy, or duplicate, and then paste. So the first one is going to be generate sound. So let's go inside of here. This is going to be a post method. And then for the URL, it's this one here. Okay, so if I just open this up, you'll see it. It's q.file.run/file-ai, and then we're going to use audio version 2. That's what we're going to use to create it, okay? And then for the headers, it's exactly the same. The body, the content type is raw. Body content type is raw. The content type is application JSON. But the prompt is going to change, okay? Because now we're going to generate sound. Okay, so the prompt is going to, and this is the JSON that we need. This is what we need to send back to Fal to generate this, okay? So the prompt is ambient background sounds for this scene. Dry savanna, distant wind, rustling leaves, elephant breathing heavily, rescue team working calmly. The action is, and then I've just grabbed the content from the previous node, which is the create sound prompt, okay? Duration is 5 seconds because the video is 5 seconds, and then the video URL is just this one here. Just grab and drag and drop this one here into where it says video URL, and that's good to go. It's just red because I need to unpin the previous node, but it should all be green when it's working for you, okay? And then you'll see the output for this is now, at the moment when I ran it, it was in queue, but you can see the request ID, the response URL. So the response URL is what we're going to use to download it in the next node, okay? So obviously, when you are using Gen AI, there is going to be some processing time, which is why we need a wait node. This one should be about a minute, so let me just change that to a minute. I just kept it to 1 second because I'm building it out. But you can see here, it's still in queue when I run it. That's fine. And then the last node is a HTTP request node. So go inside of there, and then you change the method to get. But if you're duplicating the previous three nodes, then it should already be set to get. and then just grab the response URL. Okay, it should already be mapped because you are copying and pasting the previous three, right? If it's not, all you need to do is just grab this one here. It's because file is already telling us that this is where the sound is going to be, right? It's at this location on their servers. Okay, so you can just drag and drop this. Everything else is the same, the header's the same, but we can turn the body off. We don't need to do anything there. And then once you run it, you'll see the output here. So you can see that I've already run it, and you can see the output type, which is the URL. It's an MP4 because it's sound. It's got a file name and it's got the file size as well. Okay. And the final thing here, which one did we do? We did this one, right? Yeah, we did this one. Okay, so that's all done now. And then, so the last step is going to be, we want to create the final video. So we want to take the images, the videos, the sounds, or just the videos and sounds, and put it all together, right, into one final video. So the next node, and you want to connect it up to the get sound, is going to be a merge. So let's just find that, and it's just called merge, right? And just grab this node. So I'll show you what you need to do inside of here. So basically we want to combine it, which is this setting here. And we want to combine by position, which is just easier. Okay, and then the number of inputs is 2. Okay. And the inputs I'm using for this is the sound and image. We don't need video, because if you look at this output, right, it's already MP4, which means it's a video, right? MP3 would be sound, but MP4 is actually a video. So we don't, in the old days, when file didn't let you do this, you need another step, right? So you would have to have 3 assets. You'd have to have video, sound, and captions, and whatever other assets that you wanted to put together as part of a video, right? So, but now they've basically saved us a step, because they already, when we generate a video, when we generate sounds, it's already generating a video, okay? As part of that. So then we would just want to connect it up into input 1, input 2. That's all that's doing. And then if you look at it here, right, the output is 11, right? It should be 10. I don't know why there's 11. I think I added 1 extra row for the scenes, which is fine. It's not a problem. It's actually got 11 outputs, and it's actually an array, which is why it's in the table view, right? So you can see that it's basically an array, and an array is just a table, but we can't process that to render the video. It has to be one object, like one entity, effectively, right? Which is why I've got a code node. So just find the code node here, and we're gonna need some custom code. So if I go inside of here, what I'm doing is I'm creating an object. So I'm taking all the 11 videos, right, with the sound, and then I'm merging into one object. Okay, and that's what this code here does. Okay, so if you just copy and paste this code into there, it just returns an array containing a single object, which is exactly what we wanted to do, right? Create a property called video URLs, which is just a field, and then it's just gonna map everything, and it maps over all incoming items and extracts the video URL from each one. That's exactly what we wanted to do, right? And you can see here, it's got all the video URLs, right? But it's under one object, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to do, because that's how we're gonna render the video. Okay, so the next node is the HTTP request node. So again, that's going to be the HTTP request node here. And then if I open it up, I'll show you what we're going to use. So this time we're going to use FFmpeg, okay, which is an open source video rendering tool. It's freely available, but it will cost you some negligible amount inside of file, because they are processing it. They are going to have like server costs, electricity costs, right? But it's like 0.000.117 or something, right? It's not even a penny, so it's very, very negligible. The method is post. The URL is this here. Let me just open this up. And if you are unsure about what to use for each of the endpoints, you can always go into file and just go to the documentation here, okay? And they've got everything here, all the API stuff, everything that you need. It's all in there, okay? Which is always documentation resource for whatever platform you're using. Then the send header is going to be the same. We're going to use authorization and the key with the API key. The send body is raw. It's application JSON for content type, exactly the same. But now the body is going to change, because now we are going to render the content, okay? So for this, I've just created a quick JSON, and this is based on their documentation. This is how the code needs to be presented when we're sending it to them. Okay, so effectively what we're doing is we just got a URL for each of the videos here, right from the previous create object node, and then we're just giving it a timestamp, and we're telling it that the duration is 5 seconds. That's all we're doing. Okay, it makes more sense on this side when you can see it. So it's just taking the videos, it's giving a timestamp, and then it will do that for each video that we've basically created inside of the object. That's all that it's doing. Again, the batch items and the 3-second intervals I've kept it as the same. When you run it, it will just be one object. Okay, so at the time of me running this, it was in queue, because it does this, the rendering video probably takes the longest time to create. It's anywhere between, I think mine took about 6 minutes, but again, it depends on the number of videos that you have, the file sizes, it depends on the language models that you've used as well, right? So there are a lot of different factors involved here, but I think if you have a wait node for about 10 minutes, it should cover it. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 10, and we're going to use minutes for this. Just run it just to make sure that you have the output. You can run it as 1 second just to show you the output with the fields, right? But when you are in production, you want to change this to probably about 10 minutes. Again, it does depend on the size of the video that you can go ahead and create, okay? And then the last thing you want to do is you want another HTTP request node, which is now going to be get render, right? Because it's now been created, and you can see the video URL. So the method is get, because we're pulling it from their servers. And like I said before, the file system gives us the response URL, which is a download link. Effectively, that's all it means. Okay, so you just copy, drag, and paste this here. It's green, so it's worked. You only need the headers. You can turn the body off. You don't need any of that. Test a step, give it a name, and then this is the output, right? So it's going to give us a video URL and a thumbnail URL. Okay. And this, when you download it, is just a video that I showed you at the start of this video. Okay. Then once that's done, you can then update your sheet. Okay, so this Google Sheet can then be updated with the final URL, the thumbnail URL, and we're going to change the status to done. Okay, so that means that on the next cycle, whenever you have the next one, remember the start of the automation. If I go back to the top here, this is going to set it to review. Okay, so when it creates it, it's going to set it to review, which means the next one, next content, next video, or storyboard, next story, narrative, whatever you call it, will be review. It'll pick it up in cell in row 3. It's going to ignore this one because this is done. Okay, and that's very important if you're going to go into production for this. So let's head back down to the last node, and we can wrap this up. This is going to be an update sheet, so just go over to the panel here, find the Google Sheets, which is this one here, and then we're going to do update row in sheet, which is the last option. If I go inside of here, you want to select the correct document, which is the Facebook TikTok video creator, sheet 1. And then this time we're going to match the column based on story. Okay, so if you go down to right down to the bottom where we've got add idea, it's just drag and drop this one to using the match. Okay, and if it's green, you know it's worked. Okay, and then we're going to map each column manually. Okay, so idea, you can the ID you can leave. Title, scene, you can leave. Status, change that to done, because now it's done, right? We don't want to pick it up on the next cycle when we're creating this automation, running it right from the beginning again. And for the final video, you just want to get the video URL, drag and drop this one here. And then for the thumbnail, you just want to get the thumbnail, drag and drop that here, okay? And test a step, and then you'll see it. It'll basically output this. So that's basically it. That's the automation in a nutshell. You can use this for TikTok, you can use it for Instagram. And if you want to know how to automatically post this on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Instagram, go over to one of my previous videos where I talk about an application called Blatato, where you can actually set this up and automate the entire process, right? You can actually take the links from here and send it to Instagram, send it to TikTok, and just see what happens. Test it out, right? So thank you if you made it this far into the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the content. If you've got any questions, just leave them below. I'll try and answer as many as I can. And if you've got any requests for any future videos, then just send me a message either on the channel, or you can ping me on LinkedIn or Twitter, okay? So thanks again for watching. Before you sign off, please subscribe to the channel. Every subscriber helps, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.